When we had landlines, no smartphones, or when we only had letters, we either would have to really think about what we were going to say to each other, and we were always mindful if you were writing a letter or on a landline and you couldn't visually see people, etc., to try to make sure you didn't anger the person because you didn't know when you were going to next communicate with them and what they were seeing. You didn't know what media they were being exposed to. You were actually respectful of the fact that there could be a dilation of information. There could be differences between what they know and you know. So you treated them differently. But now, as things have sped up, these phones and everything, we just get on them. We immediately text people. We expect those people to know exactly what we're thinking. And we expect them to know that because we know that. And if we know that, it has to be. This is the really weird and unbelievable fact that most people don't want to understand, because if they understand it, then they might have to stop being in their little bubble. Is that their facts are their facts because they like those facts, but they're not really facts. They're actually biases that they have compounded by teaching an algorithm how to only give them what they want to see. So, in fact, their funnel is not news, their funnel is their personal biases.
You nailed it. That explains so much. Ross Graves in the comments says, explains the great divide in our nation. People stay in their vacuum. Exactly. It explains so much about how people see reality, not subjectively different, but they believe what they know is true, and someone else's truth is completely different, and people just don't see middle ground sometimes. And I believe that this type of funneled information has a lot to do with it. But there's also a lot to be said for the information that's made to look factual, which is intended to change people's opinion or mislead people, maybe intentionally, maybe nefariously sometimes. But there's a lot of strategy behind that, correct?
Oh, yes. I mean, we're actually utilizing that strategy right now with the social media tab to actually highlight what I've done with my book. We're using text, we're using the ability to see me speak visually, that we pump up words, we get into your face with ideas that we're promoting. And it's all a form of mental indoctrination to make you look at our video, differentiate our video from someone else, but equally making sure we get your attention. So, of course, it's extremely manipulative. And thousands of programmers have been employed to come up with manipulative ways to keep your eyeballs planted on whatever they want you to be looking at. And by the way, if anyone today feels a little overwhelmed and says, I'm addicted, and you know what, I really don't know how to get out of this, you're not alone. I really do want to be compassionate about this. Guys, listen, technology has hurt my family, and I understand what this stuff can do to a family. I equally want you guys to understand that I know what it does to companies, because I have been hacked at our company as well as watched other companies get hacked. And I've had to become a security expert, regardless if I wanted to or not, to protect our company. When my clients would spend 6 months talking to me about security before we even talk about deploying the cool stuff, you realize, well, then everything's gone really off the rails, because now we're literally talking about a security before we're talking about the deployment or the thing we're going to do. It's kind of sad if you think about it, because it means we're fearful. We're all operating from a sense of fear. That doesn't please me whatsoever. When you get to my age, you realize there's lots of things you're not going to get to, and you sure as heck are not going to help the world. But if I can leave this world with it being a little bit better, a little bit more secure, and people actually trust each other a little bit more, that truth decay stops. And for anyone who does not know what truth decay is, the Rand Corporation in the 80s coined this phrase. And it's the idea when a society stops trusting each other and then information is actually no longer believed and media is not believed, you have something called truth decay. And it's not just statistics. I'm talking what's dramatic is that the more truth decay that occurs in a society, it ramps up. It's kind of an exponential ramp. And so for me, what's sad is the more truth decay there is in a society, the more division there is, and the more truth decay is not just an idea of an intellectual pastime. It's very, very hard to undo the root causes of truth decay. Because when people don't trust each other, where do you begin? What I'd like to try to do is to make us all start speaking. I don't believe a Democrat is any lesser of a human being than a Republican. I believe that if you take both strategies and both ideas, and they all do have ideas, and you bring them together, and we actually learn how to compromise again, we would actually build from the truth decay to actually belief. And if you got to back to belief, we might actually believe in our country. And that's actually the other part of what I'm trying to do is bring back patriotism without political allegiance. I have no idea where politics and patriotism got combined. Can't you just love the country that you live in and want everyone in that country to be happy? And I think that has been eroded because everyone's in their funnels. And because they're in their funnels, a lot of people see America as very, very bad, and other people see America as very, very good. But are they speaking to each other? Are they sharing the two stories? Because America is not a perfect country. So it's not very, very, very good, but it's also not very, very, very bad. It's a country, it's complicated, and it requires a dialogue between both sides. But again, if everyone's in their funnels going down their bias chutes, they're never going to see eye to eye. And that's where I come in. That's where you come in, Kim. We got to get people thinking again, talking. I hope I wasn't too intense with that message. This message is not politics, guys. This message is actually after a lifetime of working in technology, being fear facing. But I say this to you all. This is probably the scariest thing I've ever done. I'm going to face my opponents. I'm going to face people that are going to fundamentally disagree with me, even trying to message patriotism. And I'm going to still come at them and say, you have every right to disagree with me, but may we have this dialogue? Please do not cut the dialogue just because you disagree with me. Let us have this discussion because I equally want to meet you somewhere on your journey. I want a meeting of everyone's minds. I don't think that's unfair. And I actually think that's how we fix the country.